Hi everybody! Hope everybody is not freezing because at my house it is currently snowing outside. My name is Kaia Bloem and this is what I learned in week 2. In Reading Between the Signs, chapter 2, I learned about the study of culture, which was said to be which includes knowledge, belief, art, morals, custom, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by a man as a member of society. I found it interesting to think that we grow into a culture, but we are also born into it but don't have it at birth. We get it as we live in the culture. Part of the chapter pointed out how difficult it was for people visiting other countries when they have been given no information about that culture. For example, my mom has told me this story when she was a child and was living in Japan. Her mother knew nothing of the culture or of the language and tried to go grocery shopping. She bought what she thought was onion rings and cooked them up. I imagine they were surprised when it turned out they were squid rings. It was definitely a culture shock. The chapter continues by describing the domains of intercultural communication, describing aspects such as personal space, rate of speed, volume, silence, eye gaze, facial expression, gestures, and values. The various examples in the book help me see how different cultures view the world. For example, in some countries it is very rude to point with the index finger. And You Want to Be an Interpreter, they talked about the history of sign language. There were historically language brokers who provided written and sometimes broken translation for the members of their community. The book talked about the idea of gatekeeping, which allowed deaf people to monitor who and who was not acceptable in the role of interpreter or translator. Then the book went into discussing the two different registries that certify and monitor interpreters. The organization in the U.S. is the RID, or the Registry of the Interpreters for the Deaf. The book describes various things that the registry does, including publishing a registry of interpreters, a value and certification systems for interpreting, and educating the public about interpreting services. While the organization in Canada, the CASLI, the Canadian Association of Sign Language Interpreters, they provide a professional place for interpreter growth, promote networking, social develop skills and ethical behavior for interpreters. The book discussed how each organization is set up and who can be a member. In the TED Ed video, things start out by showing how the interpreter messed up when interpreting Khrushchev said back in the 1950s. It could have caused a really big problem. The video points out that interpreters need much skill and training to avoid such instances. Interpreters used to get a pause to translate, but now it happens almost instantly. Without pauses, it can take about 2 years for interpreters to become skilled at being a conference interpreter. They start off by listening and repeating their native language and then move on to the learned language. The gradual practice eventually makes this process become second nature. The interpreter has to master a lot of skills like using acronyms, having slides to keep up with pace. The interpreter has to be able to keep their cool under pressure. They also cannot be bothered by working where a lot of people might be watching them. They spend lots of time preparing for the assignment. They also work in pairs, give each other support. The pair can switch off from time to time. It is very important that they can work together. They know that language is complex and messing up the translation can have dire consequences. Stay warm, everyone.